Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of Canon Ketchup, the show where we take you and I take my friends through canon Star Wars comics. Joining me today is John and Dylan, because who else? Here they are.
What is
Who
What
else?
is
up?
what is
Who
up? Who
else?
else? My
Who
co-hosts on
else?
All New Nerds. So, as you may have heard on our podcast, these guys, they're a bit canon agnostic. Johnny has done some he's done some of his own reading into the comics
Just
here
a
and
little
there.
bit. Just a little bit.
Let him hold up his books. But Dylan, I'm pretty sure, has read like nothing. So,
How about that?
how about that? How about that? So, today we are talking about all of the comics that take place before the Phantom Menace. So, the earliest point in the timeline, besides the High
Mhm.
Republic, we're skipping that because it's not done yet. So, we're starting at the earliest we can, which is the Age of Republic Qui-Gon Jinn one shot known as Balance. So, this is part of a collection of series collection of shorts that they did in 2019 for each era. It's a series of one shots, and so naturally, Age of the Republic comes first in the timeline. It's the prequel era. So Qui Gon Jinn is the first. The description: Jedi Master Qui Gon Jinn has long served the Jedi Council and the Galactic Republic faithfully, but his faith in the Jedi and the Force is about to be tested. So, what did you guys think of this issue?
It was really good. I've been loving getting back into comics. I've been branching out into different stuff, but Star Wars coming back to it was really cool, especially reading something with Qui-Gon Jinn. I've never done that. I liked reading, and I could hear Liam Neeson's voice, so that was cool. That had an extra element in my head that I was like, oh, that was a good read. Good stuff. I really liked the kind of moral clash with Master Yoda, kind of in the middle of the comic, which we'll get to. But that was
I mean,
really
talk about it
interesting.
now. It's pretty quick. This is, yeah, definitely
Yeah.
deals with.
Well, I want Dylan to
Wars.
speak too. Dylan, what did you think?
Yeah, no, not having read a comic on the War of the Bounty Hunters for so long, this was really refreshing way to consume Star Wars. It felt right, picture, text, and like you said, I really read it in Liam Neeson's voice. They nailed just all the dialogue. I really loved how deep it went into Qui-Gon. What I think is really special about books and comics that films in lessons of very specific circumstances can't exactly do is you get to hear what's going on inside their head. And
Yeah.
so that was really important, I think, for Qui-Gon especially, who's such a different Jedi from the other Jedi, like on the council, and just getting to see his perspective, especially before episode 1, which plays into it a little bit, but this comic really solidified like his views of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And to set the stage here for the audience, so Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, this is very similar to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's stories in Legends. They're dealing with essentially a border dispute on a foreign world. This is what the Jedi do. They're
The
keepers
Metal
of
Clan.
the Metal Clan versus like the Wood Clan. Very simple stuff. But the Jedi get involved because they have to keep the peace. And it doesn't. They have to. It doesn't go right. That's not really the main focus. The main focus is how this event affects Qui-Gon. Here's a line. He's speaking to Master Yoda. Being called a coward isn't what bothered me, Master Yoda. It was being called a great warrior. And I was like, nice. I was like, good line. This just
Very good.
it really
That's a movie quote.
captures
That sounds like a movie quote.
it really captures the feel of the Phantom Menace and the prequels. You have a lot of Clone Wars imagery. You see like the shuttles from the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You see obviously Obi-Wan, Yoda.
Yeah.
It's just very fun. It's very fun.
Coruscant. Yeah.
Coruscant. So then Qui-Gon is like, I'm feeling weird in the Force. I got to go figure this out. So he takes his ship and he goes
Guided by the Force, by the way.
guided by the Force. And what did you guys think of this? How did you feel about his sort of spirit quest?
I need to go back and read it because reading it as quick as I did, I was a little confused. So I'm going to go back to it. But overall, I thought it was really interesting imagery. But I think the message was like, so I assume that kind of those red viney figures were kind of just like maybe the dark side, because that's essentially what that planet was. I think that was that. I don't know if that was a temple, but it was definitely some kind of dark
so what happens
side.
is Qui-Gon goes to a nexus similar to Dagobah, how Dagobah is.
Yeah.
He goes,
Okay.
he enters into the living force, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he has a vision, and the essence of the vision is the lesson is that violence sows seeds of the dark side. Unchecked, the Jedi could become what we fight against. So it was sort of them destroying themselves, is what he was seeing. He saw that in the Force. He was like, if we just become, which it goes back to that
Yeah,
warrior.
because then he became, and at the end, it was kind of
Yeah, that's
I
what
like
he's
Right,
that
and,
vision.
and I mean, he brings out his lightsaber and he starts slaughtering them, or at least, you know, in a vision or whatever.
and it
Yeah.
destroys him.
Right, exactly.
So ultimately, that's what the issue's about. As a lot of these one shots are, they're like a character study, and
Yeah.
Qui-Gon has always been like the sort of model Jedi in the prequel era. He's like, no, screw this other stuff. Like, we shouldn't be doing this. And he is seeing that. He's feeling that. He's experiencing it through the Force that this is wrong. Like, what is coming is wrong. The way we are acting now as Jedi is just wrong. And it sort of sets up how he is in Phantom Menace without having to. There's much more content there, like in Master and Apprentice, which is a great book. But
Mhm.
I think this is just as a one shot. It sets up Qui-Gon's dynamic with the Council very well.
Right. It's
Yeah.
short, it's sweet, it gets the job done. I like how the stuff with the Metal Clan and that princess was kind of the B plot almost, or I mean, it was like the
It was
point
the
of
B-plot,
the. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the point of the comic itself. I think the highlight for me was just his talk with Yoda on Coruscant.
Yeah.
I thought that was
That
awesome.
was definitely my highlight as well. I just loved how they kind of clashed their morals there. In there. It was cool.
And
That's
the
cool.
dialogue is just, they nailed it. And they, I mean, we'll get, when we get into Darth Maul too, or the next one, that's
Yeah.
will definitely be a
Maul-
highlight. But
Maul
it's
gets
just
pretty-
they really
Written,
just they're so good at the dialogue.
written by
it felt,
Jodie
it felt
Hauser.
very. Yeah, it felt very Qui-Gon, so it was very faithful.
Well,
Yeah.
moving on, we are moving on to the Darth Maul miniseries from 2017. Now,
This I read before.
Johnny had read this before, and
I
for
loved
those
it.
of you who are Legends fans, one of my favorite Star Wars comics is the 2000 Darth Maul miniseries, 4 issues, Dark Horse, and it tells a vaguely similar story. They have
Similar,
similar intros. Not, I know they're different. They're very distinct, but Darth Maul wants to test his mettle and gets
Yeah.
to. But that story, they just actually released a Black Series figure from it. It's the
Mhm.
I don't know if
I
you guys
have.
know
I
about
ordered
the-
it.
Oh, you
Still
ordered it.
hasn't
There you
come
go. It's like a special Legends collection, but this is the canon version. This is the 2017 canon version of a Darth Maul miniseries. So this is before the Phantom Menace, as we said, and this is 5 issues, and it chronicles Darth Maul's journey. As I said, he wants to test his mettle against he goes into the underworld and he wants to kill a Jedi. He wants to test himself against a Jedi, and so he fights against this Padawan, Eldris Katie, I believe, is her name.
Yeah.
That's what it says. I'm going to look it up just to check that. And that's, you get characters like Cad Bane or Singh. Hondo makes a cameo in the background.
Cool.
You see Black
Mhm.
Sun, the Pikes.
Mhm.
You see the Kyozo Constable Zuvio looking guys
Yeah, I noticed that.
who
Yeah.
are there. The Trandoshans from Clone Wars. It's very
Yeah.
cool. A lot of great cameos. What did you guys think of this miniseries?
Yeah, I'll start us off. So I think this just totally nailed the just general vibe, really, of Darth Maul. Like, it nailed the character. Everything just felt so right. Every action he did, everything he said, just felt very Darth Maul, as it should for the Darth Maul comic.
Mhm.
I think what kind of similar to Qui-Gon is that I think it's essential to these characters, sort of, that we see kind of what they're going through before we see them in episode 1.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like Darth Maul was always kind of like Boba, where it's like, here's this really awesome, at least only in the movies, where it's like, here's this awesome character. He looks cool, he does cool stuff, and he dies way too soon.
Mhm.
And so I never even really thought, like, I wonder what Darth Maul was doing like before episode 1.
Yeah.
And so to just see how his relationship with Palpatine is, his desire to hunt a Jedi, which we eventually see in episode 1, and how that ends up going. And what I really liked about the comic was like how he was always thinking about, like, you can't go too long without him talking about Palpatine, or what Palpatine's going to do if he finds out, or how this is like very much a secret mission of his and he's trying to keep it under wraps.
Yeah. Well, until the end.
As we find out,
exactly,
though,
right.
Yeah.
Palpatine knew the whole time, which is a common theme with Palpatine.
Yes.
The whole time.
Oh,
so
yeah, I knew he was going to find out.
So the issue, I do want to point out, this miniseries opens with Darth Maul hunting Rathtars, which is pretty fun.
Yeah,
What you guys
that
think
was
about
cool.
that connection?
That was cool. Yeah, I love to see that.
Yeah, lots of call forwards, I guess, or callbacks too. Something new that I'd never seen was the orb fighters in the first issue. And they were just like these like little golden orbs that were just like starfighters. I thought those, I have that down in my notes as something I thought was pretty dope.
I like again, this book was kind of a character study of Maul as well, and also in the Age of the Republic one shot was kind of the same thing. But I just loved seeing the inner turmoil with Maul and him kind of just literally like itching to kill a Jedi. It's very interesting.
Right.
Nothing satisfies him, which is like the common theme throughout the book.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I really liked that.
I just think something that we're gonna, or I guess I'm going to find out about these comics is all the missing context that they add.
Yeah.
Like even like Malachor, like seeing
That
that
was cool.
was so
I
awesome.
love the Malachor
And
stuff.
like, I mean, yes, I'm fine with like on Rebels, he's just there. Like you don't know why, or at least if you haven't read the comic, you don't know why, and that's fine. But this is just
But
like
now
the
it
cherry
makes-
on top to like understand why he's
It
there.
makes much more sense. Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
Eldra Cadiz, by the way. I switched an eye. I think.
Little off. Yeah.
Just wanted to confirm her name. So
Yeah.
basically, to set the stage a little more. So yeah, he's hunting Rathars, and Sidious sends him on this mission to go help like the Trade Federation. They got some problem, and he kills everyone there. You know, he does the job.
Kills
But
everyone. Yeah.
Including
the Trade Federation.
in the sort of little window that he has, 'cause he's on this mission, he learns through one of the survivors who's trying to plead for their life that a cartel, it's like the Zevs Rexus cartel or whatever, has captured a Padawan, and they're putting them up for bid. He's like, this is my opportunity. And so he goes to Nar Shaddaa and hires a team of bounty hunters, which, as I said, you get freaking Cad Bane, which is sweet.
Cad Bane!
Cad Bane's there. Aura Singh, and this little like I don't even know.
What was his name?
I gotta look at the name.
She's
She's
like
a little
right or something.
That was the droid.
Vordelio.
Yeah,
Like,
Vordelio.
It's
And
the
there
type
was
of species you see in A New Hope, the little like mosquito-looking thing.
yeah. Then there was one more that
There
was
was,
like,
like, a
the
little rat guy.
droid, like the mechanic or the droid engineer, the one with the eye patch.
Who cares? Cad Bane. Cad Bane or
Yeah.
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane or Singh.
That's
Right.
what we care
That's all
about.
that matters.
But I'm
No
bringing it
Toto
up
though.
because
by the way.
he does this on, was it before Toto's time? He does this on Nar Shaddaa, and I wanted to point out for anyone who's read the comics, I just want to meld with you that yes, so they go to a bar on Nar Shaddaa, and there's a barkeep, there's a Zabrak barkeep, and there's a little son is there too. I mentioned this on the Hollow Marauders, and I don't know, just remember that character. We will come back to Nar Shaddaa in canon comics, and it's just a cool little connection.
Bartender's son? Is that what you're saying?
The bartender's
kid?
son will grow up and he'll be at the bar. You see him in War of the Bounty Hunters. He's the guy at the bar who's
I have to
read
look
that
back
issue.
at it. I know. I have to
Boba
look back
talks
at
to me,
it.
like it's the
I remember.
same family of Zabraks.
Wow.
I just love
That's
that little
cool.
detail.
Yeah,
What a
it's just
crazy connection,
I
yeah.
like that.
It's such a background thing that it's just really cool. And that's what he doesn't even have a name, but he's one of my favorite like background characters because he has some great moments.
That's cool.
A little spoiler here. He has some great moments with Luke Skywalker later on, Darth Maul, and it's good stuff.
Right.
And obviously Boba Fett, as you saw in War of the Bounty Hunters. I'd encourage you to go look back.
Yeah.
So he gets his team together on Nar Shaddaa, and then they go hunt for this Jedi. Essentially, there's a bidding war, but you get flashbacks as he meditates. So yes, Malachor and Sidious took him there on Malachor, and he like breathes in the ashes of the Sith, like the bodies there. It's like Pompeii. And he has these visions.
It's like a standout image, that panel with all the Jedi and the Sith behind, like kind of like looks like their faces just melting. It's a very cool image.
It's really cool. But yeah, everyone is at this meeting. It's who's hunting with this Jedi. You see Gracchus, the Buff Hut, in the background, the Pikes, Hondo, the Trandoshans, as I said, the what are they called? Not the Findians. The guys who sold the poison water to the Mandalorian kids. They're there. It's fun stuff. It's fun times.
Yeah. Big part.
So yeah. Then the bulk of the latter issues is the hunt. And what did you guys think about that? The hunt between these two, their fight, and they have to team up to survive.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's always on one end, it's always cool to see Cad Bane and Aura Singh before we see them in Clone Wars. But on the Maul and the Padawans end, that was really cool. I liked how at one point Maul was kind of pointing out to himself, he's like, wow, she is like pretty strong in the Force. She is using her anger. Like maybe we could turn her into a Sith. But he's like, no, maybe under different circumstances. But now I have to kill her.
Yeah.
I do want. So how long before episode 1 is this exactly? Do you know that?
I think a few years.
A few years. Okay. Well, then he's learned a lot in that time because she did put up a pretty good fight and she was just a Padawan. Whereas we see he's able to kill Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon.
Spoilers
You're right.
for the
Right.
movies.
Qui-Gon so will end. No, avert your ears.
No, what?
Listen, don't look at the soundtrack.
I don't know. I just thought all the art, especially like
Yeah.
for their fight, was really
The
cool.
lightsabers.
The way it ended was very cool, and I said this before, but it all just feels so Darth Maul.
It felt like a Star Wars movie. It felt like a third act of a Star Wars movie. It was very cool. And just how we kept cutting through all the different characters. We cut through, Cad Bane, Nora Singh, what they were doing, and back to Maul and the Padawan, and then even to the droid, which was interesting. So I thought.
Is this in this comic or in the latter one where there's just a moment where there's like two Jedi and they just feel something cold?
That's in this one.
Then they like walk over and
Yeah.
he's just waiting in the shadows. He can't do
And
anything.
then he leaves and
Right.
they just be like, be on the lookout.
Yeah, it's very cool. And for everyone if you're watching this, while I'm looking down, I have all the comics on my go diagonally on my iPad here, and so I'm scrolling through to fact check and just keep a.
It is. I have mine. I just can't find it.
Yeah,
I don't know what
Johnny
to do
lost
with
it.
Literally last minute, I lost it. I can't find it. I'll find it. I promise.
So yes, at the end they have a very climactic cinematic duel.
Yes.
I'd say I'm gonna try to pull up the
Felt like
dialogue
a
here.
movie.
It felt like a movie. It was very,
It was really good.
very cool.
And just the art. I forget who did the art on this.
One of my favorite lines in the
Very
whole thing
cool.
is so at a point they have to team up because they're being hunted together because
Right. By
it's
all these
different.
different factions,
different
and
factions.
stuff. Yeah.
And Eldra says, "May the Force be with you," and Maul says, "Spare me. I do not need your Jedi platitudes. The Force is always with me." And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, man, what a badass line.
That's a Maul thing to say.
It's a very Maul thing to say.
Again, these comics have been very faithful to the characters and how they've been portrayed on screen, and whether that's in a TV show or a movie. It's very good.
Just the cinematic nature. I showed at the sort of angle of like this
The
duel.
third act of a movie. It's cool.
It's so cool.
It's awesome. I love how like when in the shadows, all you can like sometimes there's panels where it's just shadow over Maul and you can just see his yellow eyes. It's so cool how just they kind of
that was
shine
sweet.
through that. I love that so much. Such a cool detail.
And just like Maul's like drive to kill a Jedi, and then when he finally does, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not really fulfilled."
He's not satisfied.
That's
no, not
Darth
He's a
Maul
Sith
throughout his whole life.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is like Darth Maul. What I got from this, especially about Darth Maul's character, is that he changes a lot, but he really doesn't at the same time. His goals and what he wants to accomplish is always the same thing, and that goes for
all the way to his final breath.
Kill.
All the way to his final breath, he asked, "Will he avenge us?" It's all about getting vengeance.
Right. Exactly.
So eventually he kills Eldra Cadis, and makes his way back to the person who set up this event because no one can survive. Right, because the Sith are in secret at this point, so every single person has to die. And there's just a great panel where, like the woman, Zev Zrexis, I think it's
Zev Zrexis. I couldn't. I didn't know how to pronounce it.
It's a hard name.
Zev
but
Zrexis.
But she's like calling for her drinks or whatever, and she's
and it's like, "Where's my wine? Where's my wine?"
And she's like, she knows no one's coming, and she's just like,
And then Maul's standing in the doorway.
And he's just standing there. It's so cool.
It's so cool.
It's pretty sweet. So that's the main. But at the end, Palpatine reveals to Maul that he knew the whole time.
Yeah,
he wasn't defying him. That
he thought he was doing this in secret.
Palpatine says, the Sith were born in defiance. You have embraced the very nature of her order. And so I ask again, are you satisfied? And Maul responds, no. And so he says, good. And I was like, yeah.
Good.
In the words of Tyrese Gibson, we hungry.
And I guess that's kind of what makes Palpatine like the ultimate Sith, right? He's willing to have patience.
Look at this panel on Coruscant.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful. They're just
so good.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great
and I could hear Witwer's voice.
Definitely,
I heard it in Witwer. That's kind of how I read it, but it was good.
So interestingly, overall, this one is, for me anyway, and I bring this up because we are so early on in this. This is our first episode, so it's our first entry. Compared to what I've read, this is like maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. And I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this full miniseries.
I really liked selective moments, like the like we were saying, the Master and the Padawan kind of walking the streets of Coruscant, kind of sensing Maul, sensing this darkness. That was a really, really cool little scene that I appreciated. I mean, like, this was pretty much a character study of Maul, and to really understand him and see what his temptations are, and what we see in the preceding stuff like Phantom Menace and then Clone Wars. He hasn't changed. It's very interesting, and I liked the kind of conflict he had with Palpatine, because he thought he was going to get away with it. He thought he was going to do this under his nose, but realized that he knew about it all along. If I was to score the book, yeah, probably an 8 or 8.5 again for me. I really liked it.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I thought there's no specific moments I can really point to. There was some, and I never got bored. There were definitely sometimes I thought it dragged on a little bit, but that's, I mean, I feel like that's the nature of just some comics, especially with such a big one like that. It's like, you know, there's gonna definitely be some downtime. They're not always gonna be flashing their lightsabers around with some, you know, crazy imagery. But overall, I thought just like what it does for Maul, Palpatine even too, Maul's backstory, Maul's future, it's great, and I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd
Cad
say
Bane gets an extra 0.5.
Yeah,
So
to
I'd
rectify.
say
To rectify, I think for me this is a solid like 7 or 7.5, just because I know what
how
is
good it
to come.
gets. Yeah.
I know like how good these things can be, and I think absolutely right. I think it drags a little bit there, and the biggest thing that brings this one.
And
down
what
for
parts
me,
do you guys think it is? I'm just curious because I didn't find myself getting too.
It's like the 3rd issue around where it drags. This is a 5-issue miniseries.
Right.
I think it could have been in 4. I think they could have done it in 4. I think the art is
That's
beautiful.
fair.
The writing is well done.
Yeah.
But sometimes art styles just don't grab you as much, and there's some art that I really love. But let me get there. Part of the reason why this falls for me a little bit is because I have read the Legends miniseries, and that is just like one of my favorite things.
You think it's better? Yeah.
Period.
Right.
It's just I love it so much.
Yeah.
I just think it's so awesome.
I'll have to give it a read because they seem like, I mean, obviously not the same exact story, but there's parallels, I guess.
I really enjoy the art in that. The late 90s, early 2000s style just gives me super, because it came out right around the Phantom Menace, and so it's not only is it like nostalgic, it's just so like I feel the Phantom Menace in it, and it just connects differently with me. But this is still very good, very solid.
Yeah.
Definitely nothing like bad here. But so that was the miniseries, and so now finally we have the Age of Republic Maul called Ash. And so that description is: Sith apprentice Darth Maul has waited long in the shadows under the tutelage of Darth Sidious for the day when they would bring the destruction of the Jedi Order. But Maul's lust for battle drives him to act, and with the dark side of the Force as his weapons, the Jedi's days are numbered. So this is sort of like an epilogue, because obviously these came out 2 years apart, but it's still the same character in the same point in time. So he has the same drive. Like he wants to go. Like this dude's a Sith.
There wasn't too much like difference between this
but
miniseries
it explicitly connects to
it brings it up.
miniseries.
It brings up the events, what happened. Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
And so this one, Maul is in like this awesome outfit that I want an action figure of. I don't know why. Maul has like a helmet.
Cool.
It's so cool. And he's hunting he's essentially hunting Force sensitives in the underworld. He's put himself into the underworld under the guys. He's paying homage to Cadus, and he's created this Cadus cartel. And he's just hunting for like people who are Force sensitive. They're not Jedi, but who are like know their Force. Or he can tell
he didn't know though. This guy, he didn't know. He was just like, I felt it, but like he wasn't sure. Like I don't know.
He did know. He did know. He was just saying. I mean,
He could sense it, but he didn't like say.
Look, I can say the Force. I can sense it moving around him. His grasp of it is clumsy.
Yeah.
He lacks training, but I can sense it. His potential. His whole point.
Well, then he started questioning if he was a Jedi or next Jedi, and then there was like, I was like, what is he talking about?
No. What do you mean?
No, didn't he? I thought he brought up. I thought it was.
Yeah, I think there was a point when he.
No, he said perhaps he could have been one of them, a Jedi. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I saying like he could have been.
Oh, in the future tense. Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
Like,
got it. I read it differently then.
He throws a freaking blade into his chest. It's sweet.
No, I know. It was cool.
Yeah. And so,
yeah,
they go back after this sort of test. He tests himself. And he's like, ugh, easy stuff. This guy. Like he goes back to Malachor and has a vision of himself as a Jedi. He goes back and he breathes in the ashes again, and it's a pretty cool sequence. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I like seeing Maul in the robes, in the Jedi robes, just looks so wrong. Just because Maul just looks so evil,
right?
Like he literally looks like the devil.
I think it's the contrast with the red.
Yeah, and to see him in the Jedi robes was definitely definitely weird, but it was really
He thought it was
cool,
weird too.
Yeah, no, he was like, "What is going on
He's
here?"
like, what?
And I just love how offended he got
Yeah.
by just being called a Jedi, and he kills that young Zabrik's
Family,
parents.
yeah.
And
Yeah, whole family. Yeah.
I did like how the only reason he killed the whatever monster he was fighting in that vision was just because his bloodlust, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, I want to prove myself. I'm going to take down this beast. And it ended up helping that kid and his family. I wonder if, I mean, I don't know how much more Maul stuff there is to read, or if we're going to read any more Maul in the future. I wonder if
The Son of Dathomir, which is a really good book.
Yeah, oh, true. If that kind of adds into his character at all moving forward, but I thought it was definitely a cool, interesting vision.
I mean, I will say that most of the Maul stuff you get after this point, you see on screen, right, in Clone Wars, like
Right,
the
right.
majority
Exactly.
of his stuff is in Clone Wars.
This book is,
Johnny's doing
this book
something.
is good.
Yes, Son of Dathomir is very good.
Very good.
So overall, what would
Love
you?
the
What would, this is one of the one shots, so it's smaller. It's not
Yeah.
5 issues. We have less to talk about here. What would
Yeah.
you give this issue? For me, I think it's a very solid 8. I really enjoy the art style. I think the look is awesome. So the whole opening sequence, the first half is him in the underworld, like he's essentially on a job, like he's pretending to be in a
Right.
enforcer and is testing this guy, and then they kill everybody, and then he just kills him like that, and it's very Darth Maul, because this guy, he's just in that pre-Phantom Menace state. He, you know, his only one of his only lines in the
bloodlust
movie.
state,
One of his
yeah.
only lines in the movie is, "At last we shall reveal ourselves. At last we shall have our revenge." Like, he wants it so bad. Like, that's his only
He's
thing.
wanted forever, for
He just-
years.
he-
Yeah.
his whole existence, he just wants this.
Yeah.
He was taken as a child and trained to do one thing, and to kill.
Yeah.
And so these moments in these pre-Phantom Menace comics, you can only do so much with that. But what
Right.
they are able to do is very, very fun to
Yeah,
read
it's
and
very
watch,
good.
because he is just a monster. And
Yeah.
Right.
I would say 8. I would say an 8 as well.
yes,
Yeah. To add what you were saying, I feel like it makes his, when he does reveal himself and he dies for it, it makes his comeback. Yeah, exactly. When he gets defeated, it makes his comeback even that much more believable, and his drive to madness, because he wanted this for so long. It's all he's wanted, and then he finally gets it, and he's
Gets
defeated.
cut in
He's
half. Yeah.
presumed killed.
Well,
yeah.
his bloodlust turns from, I think, what we see in the book to then after Phantom Menace, it just comes from a bloodlust of wanting to kill Kenobi, and then that's what we see in Clone
Right,
Wars and
right.
whatnot, so.
Yeah, I
very
agree with you. I'd say it's about tied with the miniseries for me. I'd say it's about an 8
Yeah.
8 out of 10.
I enjoyed the miniseries overall, probably more. But I mean, again, it's
Yeah.
comparing a miniseries to a one shot,
one
so
shot.
it's like,
So, would you say you are that much more caught up with canon?
Oh, I feel like
yes.
I
Besides
have,
the one shots, yeah.
I just
haven't
weirdly
read
feel like
those,
I have
but
so
yes.
much more information on these characters, and it's stuff we already, like, I knew it, like, in the back of my mind, like, I know these characters, I like this, but just being able to see it and see exactly the motions of why they think certain things and how they actually feel about certain things, really, really cool stuff.
What impressed me the most was the world building within the comics. I didn't realize how much world building there would be. I mean,
Pretty
it was a
great.
lot.
If you spend time to really look at the art, you'll pick up
Yeah.
stuff like, as I said, you
There's
see
a lot.
Gracchus the Hutt. It's a character you don't know yet, but at this
Yeah.
event, you see
Well,
Gracchus.
no,
one of the buff Hutt.
isn't that Hut in War of the Bounty Hunters?
No, that's Boku.
No.
Different buff Hutt.
Oh,
2 buff
never
Hutts.
mind.
Gracchus has
2
got
buff
legs.
Huts. What?
Dude,
Yeah.
some of them, they're swole, and Gracchus is a character who
Big
you will
dudes.
see a lot in, or mainly in Star Wars, the main run from 2015, and then he appears again in Poe Dameron, which we'll get to much later on. Another great series.
Yeah, that's a
It's a ways
real
away.
while out.
It's
Yeah.
written by Charles Soule, who's an amazing
Yeah.
writer. And so,
Love Charles.
audience, for the inaugural episode here, we'll have some ketchup here.
I don't have ketchup with me.
Heinz ketchup, and I'm gonna do a little
Yeah.
bit of a little ketchup to get ready. You know,
Yeah.
this is what you want, right? Ah, it's shot
Gross.
out like a shotgun.
Yep.
Not what
Delicious.
I want.
Is that a good bit? Do you guys like that bit?
Bad
Ooh,
bit.
that's
Yeah.
good. I like
Good
ketchup.
bit.
I
I do too. We had a
Let's
fight
talk about this
ketchup
for a
earlier.
second. Yeah, Dylan doesn't like this. I'm like tomato, man.
hate
It's tomato paste. It's like
It's tomato. It just like it's the best condiment.
it's the best
Ketchup.
condiment, right?
Yes, it is the best condiment, but not on its own. It's gross. Ketchup without something is
I don't
just,
know, man.
yeah.
Just tastes like tomatoes.
What is ketchup but tomato persevering? So usually, we will only be covering one arc of a comic, because
Yeah.
when we get into the longer runs, which we will after Revenge of the Sith, especially,
Mm.
it's these long running series, and so they come out in arcs, and so we'll review 5 to 6 issues at a time, which is a little bit more digestible, not only for us, but the content will be a little bit faster. Whereas right now, the stuff in between in the early days is really sporadic. So, for example, next episode, between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, we have 3 Age of Republics, Obi-Wan, Count Dooku, Jango Fett. Really excited to read Jango Fett, great one. And
Mm.
then the Obi-Wan and Anakin miniseries. So that's 8 issues right there.
Oh,
It's
okay. I
really
have that.
it's awkward. It's an awkward amount.
Mhm.
But once we start to get after Revenge of the Sith, it's Kanan. We read 6 at a time. It's Vader. We get into Vader 2017. We're gonna read 6 at a time.
I have
And
it.
so
Right here.
at that point, it'll be a little bit easier. But yes, so next
Yeah.
week is Kenobi, Dooku, Fett, and Obi-Wan and Anakin, written by Charles Soule. I think our first Charles Soule outing, one of the best writers in
Mhm.
Star Wars, period. And I'm very excited to take you guys on that journey. So thank you, everyone, so much for watching this far. We hope you enjoyed. Leave your thoughts, comments down below. Hopefully, give the video a like, maybe subscribe. And yeah, there you go.
Maybe.